Hey traders, Akil Stokes here, and welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. I am in a fantastic mood today for a few reasons. Number one, my Everton Football Club drew with Chelsea today, stealing a point from the top of the table. My Philadelphia 76ers just made a massive trade for Jimmy Butler. Hopefully it doesn't destroy the locker room, and we can make a push for an NBA championship. And lastly, it is Sunday, and well, my Dallas Cowboys, they play at night, so as of the recording, they haven't lost yet. They probably will, but they haven't lost yet, so life is still good. Anyway, in today's podcast, I'm going to share one of our accountability sessions and an interview we did with prospective trader, future consistently profitable trader, Matt Barker. Now, I titled this episode, I don't want to be the McDonald's man, and that's kind of an inside reference for you guys that follow us here at Tier 1 Trading. A few months ago, Jason Greystone put out a video where basically he ran into a trader at McDonald's, and he did kind of a behind-the-scenes interview talking to this trader and really kind of pretending he was a newbie. I'll shoot the link for that video in the show notes below, but it's a must-see because it really gives a realistic interpretation of what trading looks like. I know we've had this conversation many of times, and you guys that hang around the platform, you guys that really kind of surround yourself with the Tier 1 community, whether it's just following us on social media or it's actually inside the platform, you don't really see what's happening outside. And the outside is that a lot of people are getting scammed. In fact, I am literally talking to a person on Facebook Messenger right now who is complaining about being scammed because he followed some signal service from some guy that was making, 40% a day and lost some money, and now he's mad and upset and blah, 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 blah. So it does happen, and this video is kind of a perfect example of the brainwashing that is going on out there for really people that think trading is a get-rich-quick scheme. So anyway, check that video out on your spare time, but Matt referred to himself as that. He says, I don't want to be the McDonald's guy. I don't want to be the shiny thing guy. I want to take it seriously. I want to treat my trading like a business. He actually has a business. One of his turning points was he has a business where he's basically dealing with finances. He went to school to learn about finances, and he's doing everything the right way in his life. But when it came to trading, he wasn't. And they finally kind of hit him like, why am I doing things different? But anyway, check out the podcast. Let me know what you think. Again, accountability sessions. These are interviews that we do each and every Friday. Jason Greystone does a great job of really digging into the traders, hearing their story, holding them accountable, and then we invite them back for an update a few weeks or a few months later. So check it out. Into with Matt. Hope you guys enjoy.
So yeah, I'd love to have a chat on that. Anyway,
yeah, definitely. Anyway, yeah.
So you got into you're looking into trading. You love your job. So what's the motivation there?
So basically, if I'm honest, if I take a step back, I've been interested in economics and the markets. Even since I left school. I went to college. I actually went to a college well out of my way, specifically because it was the only college in the area that did an economics A level. Right. I then went to university to do economics. I did a master's in something called econometrics, which is basically mathematics for economics. And the whole idea was, if I'm honest, to go into the financial markets in some way, shape or form, whatever that might have been. In fact, both of my dissertations were on the financial markets. One of them was how the effect of oil price affected the UK macro indicators.
Right.
So, all those types of things. But lo and behold, I unfortunately graduated in 2007, 2008, one of the sort of the last economic recession. And I think after about 40 interviews in the city and a lot of no's, a couple of my friends just said, you know what, we're sick of this, we're going to go backpacking. So as everybody does after university, I went backpacking for 8 months, came back absolutely skinned. And if I'm perfectly honest, I started working in the NHS because it was basically the first interview I had and the first job I got.
Right.
But after about, I think, 6 months there, and I wasn't meant to be there any longer, I just really fell in love with the job because I was working in a finance department. I was doing a lot of analytics around patients and footfall and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed it, and I just decided to stay. But if I'm honest, I always felt like there was a bit of a puzzle missing or a half-finished painting that I kept meaning to come back to, and that was because I was interested in the markets.
Yep.
And whether that was just following them, or I had no idea what I wanted to do. And about 5 years ago, I saw an advert on a YouTube video for a iPhone platform that I could download and start trading the markets. And I thought, well, do you know what? I'll give it a go. So I opened up a demo account. I started doing a few trades here and there. I started doing a few trades. I had no idea what I was doing.
No.
I knew about going short, going long. I knew about there was something. You talk about support and resistance, and you kind of can see what they're saying in terms of terminology, but in terms of understanding strategy, understanding candles, understanding how to analyze the market, I had no clue. And I think after I started doing a bit of demoing, I opened up a live account, only with a very small amount of money.
Yeah.
But I think the dangerous thing was I actually did all right.
Wow.
I think in my first couple of weeks, so in my first couple of weeks, bearing in mind I had no understanding of how to manage my money, I couldn't even tell you right now what sort of lot sizes I was putting on, but it would have been, sort of 50% of my account. And all of a sudden, I was 100% up in one day, thinking, got this licked.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, you blow a couple of accounts. And again, only small amounts of money. I'm talking in the hundreds, but it's sort of like a slightly humbling experience.
Yeah.
And you come away from it. And if I'm honest, the only reason I stopped a few years back was then we started. Me and my wife were getting married, so we were saving for the wedding, saving for a house. My daughter came along, and nursery fees are extortionate. I just actually I felt I can't gamble money away when I've got all this going on. And then this year, like I said, I just got a promotion in my job. We're a bit more financially stable. Life's a bit easier now, and I wanted to get back into it.
Yeah.
And I think earlier on in the summer, I was watching all these YouTube videos. I was watching a Daily FX put one out pretty much 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And I was doing all this, trying to sort of get my head around it. But still, I had a demo account, and I said, because I'm not going to open up a real account until I think I know what I'm doing, until I've been a bit profitable. But even then, watching all these videos, you still don't really have any grasp of what's really going on. And it wasn't until actually I came across you and I watched one of your videos on how you built up your trend continuation trade, and I was just like, this is everything I don't know.
Yeah.
This guy's telling me all the things that I think I was struggling with, like understanding where my entry point should be, going down from the higher time frames to the lower time frames, all of these sorts of things, how to correctly spot support and resistance. And so I signed up for the 14-day free trial, and I think I didn't even take the full 14 days. I think you had me at day 2. After going through the emergence and doing 2 of the live rooms. I just thought, no, this is where I want to be, and these guys are teaching me the stuff I want to learn. So I signed up, obviously, and I've been here for about I think a month to the day. I think it's my month anniversary.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty similar. Well, I was having a conversation with someone about this last night. I'm like the easiest sell. If I can see value in something, I just want like the whole thing. And you see all these marketing strategies where they warm people up and they sell, drip feed more and more value. I'm like the opposite. I want the ultimate package all the time, and I want to know what I'm going to get, and I just want to get started.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying the platform.
So I'm not going to lie, I kind of went through the first parts of the training quite quickly. I already had a slight understanding of markets, market sentiment, a little bit of market psychology from sort of economics. There was actually a module on my master's degree that was around the financial markets, and we actually had a hedge fund manager, I won't name him, but came in, and he was actually the sort of guest lecturer. And I'll tell you what, it was really interesting because it was smack bang at the end of the course when all the financial markets started going, and his phone was going off the hook, and he said, sorry, I'm going to have to take this. Walked out of the room, came back, and he went, if you'd all make sure you don't record this or record me, but if any of you have got any savings, go find yourself a broker and short every major bank in the world.
Really?
Yeah. Literally, he said that to the entire class of about 120. He said, anybody who's interested, I'll speak to you afterwards. And he kind of talked us through what we needed to do. But I'm not going to lie, I didn't do it.
No.
I wish I had now that I know, I kind of know. But yeah, that was sort of the advice he gave. So anyway, I went through the training quite quickly. But yeah, it was fantastic. You know, I think the things that I was really missing was when I was going through some of the techniques, understanding entry, also with Akil, how he looks at each candle as telling a story.
Yeah.
You know, when I was back when I first started with the trading, I was McDonald's man. I was the video that you had on YouTube. I was 5 minutes looking at my phone constantly, and and now I've been through the platform, I completely understand where I was going wrong. And I think it's a bit silly because my life is basically taking data, looking at historic data and trying to plan for the future. And I just wasn't taking into all the stuff that I do in my day-to-day job as a business and putting that into my trading.
Yeah.
and it's so you know, when you look back, you kind of laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how have I got so wrong?
Yeah.
If you were doing it for any other business, the stuff that I know and I do day to day, I would have been applying to trading. And after the last month, that's what I've been doing. And I've come up with sort of a hybrid reversal swing trade strategy that I've been testing for the last month quite intensively. And sort of that's where I am now.
Brilliant. So you're developing stuff now.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't mind talking you through it. I didn't know how long we'd have, but
no, just yeah.
So obviously, because I went through the training quite quickly, and even with Akil, I didn't really look at when it says, you know, go try and find, you know, 5 patterns that look like this. I didn't really do that, and when I started coming to develop my strategy, I thought, right, well, this is the point actually where I want to develop a strategy that I can use, that I can look at, that can work on my time frame to suit my life, and that's where I started. So
yeah,
you know, straight away you're looking at candle patterns. So I'm looking, you know, okay, well, can I see any hammers? Can I see any morning stars or 3-bar reverse? And I think I just got lost in thinking that these candlesticks come up all the time perfectly when there's a reversal, and obviously that's not the case. After looking at so many charts. Yeah. So I kind of went back to square one. I just thought, okay, well, taking some of the knowledge from your trend continuation trades, taking some knowledge from what I've learned on candle patterns from Akil, and also the day trading strategy, I thought, right, well, I want to work on a 4-hour time frame because I haven't got time to work on an hourly, really, in terms of my job as well. But 4 hours doable. I want to be working. I want to be working at the extremes of a market. So I want to be working at the end of a trend. So, you know, I'm going to RSI. I want to be looking for some sort of indication that the market's reversing. So straight away, all I wanted to do was, okay, well, let's look at a market. Let's follow it on the 4-hour. Let's see where it starts getting, let's say, overbought, and let's see when it turns around. What I managed to find was on a 4-hour chart, when you're in an, let's say, an overbought territory and you've got a bullish candle and then bearish candle with a lower low, lower close. Okay, well, what would happen if I entered at market and then with an ATR stuck above the previous bullish candle, taking a 1-to-1 risk reward, and let's just see what would happen. And that was literally it. I just thought, well, let's pick a currency pair. So I chose Aussie CAD, and I just thought, okay, well, as long as I can go back, let's see how this goes. And yeah, it actually did really well. I think in 2015-16, both of those years, you would have done really, really well off this technique. A little bit less in 2017 and 2018. You know, I think if you looked last week, you would have done quite well. In fact, I think looking at because I'm still sort of testing this, I think actually currently only just come out of a trade that started on the 4th of October,
Right.
and would have got you 124 pips. So
Nice.
so I've kind of had a look at that as a kind of starting point for myself. I know it's not finished. I've also looked at 4 other currency pairs, about 100 observations for all of them. I guess at the moment I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm here now with 4 currency pairs. I can see that it does work, but I'm trying to tweak it to make it the best it can be.
Yeah.
So, in my previous, when I started the testing, Akil will shoot me, but I didn't take into account structure. And one of the reasons I didn't want to take into account structure, and this might just be the way I learn, is I want it to fail, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't take structure into account, if I didn't use that as something that would influence me in my first lot of testing.
Okay.
So now I'm going back and having a look at my winning and my losing trades to see how structure would have played into
Sure.
that. I'm also looking into, do I use an ATR stop, or do I use maybe, how often do my trades actually go past, the high of that bullish candle? So can I use a stop to reduce my risk? The other thing that was really interesting that I just had a little play with this morning was, because what I was trying to do was take a one-to-one risk reward. I was taking profits at that one-to-one, and then I had an ATR based stop. Okay, take a step back actually. So once you hit profit ones, move stop loss to entry, and then put in an ATR based stop.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I found was actually, a lot of the time I was taking half my size off at my first take profit, and obviously having a nice little run, maybe another sort of 100, maybe even 150 pips on some of the good trades.
Right.
And I thought, well, okay, well, because I was taking half my size off at my first take profit, what would happen if I actually just let it run and I didn't take that first profit? And although it reduced my win rate from 56% to I think 45%, it actually improved my financial position.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the reward was greater than the risk. But then, I'm dealing in that territory that I'm going to be losing more trades than I win.
Right. Yeah.
And it was, and sort of I'm now at that position where I'm thinking, well, obviously I've got this strategy that I've looked at. I am happy with it at the moment, and there are some tweaks I've got to make. But I've got to kind of decide what sort of trades I want to do, whether I want to lose more but gain more when I win, and whether that strategy is actually going to work going forward, because it's great that it worked in 2015, 16 and 17, but there's no way of saying whether it definitely win going forward. So
that's there's no way of knowing that anything will win going forward. I think this is the bit of the elephant in the room, really. No matter what strategy, this is why trading's hard, right? Because you can test all you like, you can forward test all you like, you can demo trade, and then you can go live. But there's always something in the back of your head that says, every time you hit a drawdown, is this it? Is this the end? Is it just going to deplete my entire account if I keep trading it? And that is why it's so important to put our mind in the best possible frame going forward by backtesting and by having numbers. So it's a point that we can base our trading from. And what it does is it says, right, well, this was your maximum drawdown in 5 years. So then we can say, well, okay, if that does go below that number in the future, then I can be cautious. Then I know that there's a problem.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And it's obviously the drawdown in the sort of second example where I don't take profits, profit one, is the drawdowns. It is greater because you could go, I think. It was something like 12 losing trades in a row, but then you could think 5 winning trades in a row, and you've completely smashed all those losing trades because of how you've set it up. But it's whether I've got to decide psychologically how would I deal with that, and that's kind of where I'm at now. So I guess moving forward, my short term outlook is I want to finish my tweaks and I want to finish with something I'm happy. Whether actually I open maybe 2 demo accounts and try both examples and see how I feel about both for the next 3 to 6 months, because that's something that I could do. Try and paper trade both examples or both strategies at the same time, and see which one I'm more comfortable with, and then definitely look to start trading it. Probably at some point next year, and go live with that. And that's kind of that. Those are my current goals. I think I basically set myself a long-term goal this year that I want to pay my mortgage off before I'm 40. So I've got 7 years, and if trading can help me achieve that, then that's where I'm at.
Excellent. What a great goal to have. At least that's something to aim for. I think one of the problems is people just don't know why they're doing it, and they don't really have a goal in mind, and that's really, really important. I mean, one of the first reasons people get into trading is because they think that they want it, but they actually don't when they have to actually start trading. You sound very different. You actually love the markets. You're enjoying it. You're enjoying the process. You're developing a system. You're testing it. And you sound like you've got your head screwed on anyway, so it's not like.
I think it goes back to when I was doing when I was doing my degree and my economics and stuff like that. And I think the thing I really enjoyed was testing a hypothesis. That's why I did econometrics. When you're econometrics, you're doing all these sort of regression analysis and taking a hypothesis and testing it and putting it through the rigor, getting historic data. Obviously, like I said, I didn't apply that when I first came to trading, but now I've sort of gone through the course and I understand things a lot better. And now I can apply that, and it's really interesting because that's the thing I love. That's the thing that really sort of motivates me, is testing hypothesis, and that's what I'm finding really, really great.
That's so cool.
And what's also interesting is because I didn't pay attention, even though I did your trend continuation strategy training part of the course, I knew that isn't where I was going to be looking at straight away.
Right.
So although I had it in the background of my head of there are trend continuation trades and this is how you could set them up, I haven't bothered looking at that. But I think it must have been Aussie Swiss franc when I was looking at the Aussie Swiss franc on my strategy. Once you had that initial sort of move up, you'd see that sort of pull back, further extension, pull back further. Oh wait, that's a trend continuation trade right there. And so it was really interesting after going through the course, not just being able to come up with a strategy, apply a strategy, but whilst I'm testing that strategy, also pinpointing, do you know what, this would be something I'd look at next, because I can see it, and beforehand I couldn't see it. So I guess the best way to explain it is you've sort of opened my eyes that when I look at a market, I'm seeing things that I never thought I never saw before.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, I always say that if you enjoy the process of testing things and, like you say, the hypothesis and just crunching the numbers, that's the hard part. If you like that, the rest is going to be a breeze, because it's usually the other way around. They're attracted by the end result, and you have to tell them that you've got to go and do this testing, and it's like, oh god, this is grueling. But if you like that and you enjoy that, it's just going to make the rest so much easier.
Well, if I'm honest, when I said I wanted to get in the financial markets, that's kind of the thing I wanted to get into, if I'm honest, was getting into the sort of testing,
like an analyst
strategies. That's exactly what I wanted to do. But I'm kind of so I'm NHS career now, and I kind of like it. But depending on how this goes, it also the other thing about this is it could potentially change my career, it could completely flip me over, change my career, change my goals. I could maybe look at some of the maybe not sort of like trading for a prop firm, but looking at sort of other companies that do analytics for stock markets. Probably starting at the bottom, but hey, you never know. The finances that I potentially bring in from trading could offset that,
Yep.
and I could start a brand new career in something that I'm a bit more passionate about than. Well, I say a bit more passionate about. I'll still always have a soft spot for the NHS, but I could go into something else, and that's the other thing is I guess me and my wife, although we love our jobs, we've always talked about being our own bosses.
Yep.
And I also see this as a gateway to that.
Of course.
Allowing my wife to free up some time to do something else. So that's the other goal.
Let me just be clear about this. Trading for me was just a way to free up my time. That was all it was. And when you free up your time, this is why when I hear people say, oh, if you're so good at trading, why do you decide to help other people? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why are you involved in other businesses? And all that rubbish, right? And my answer is because trading wasn't the be-all and end-all for me. It wasn't something that was just... If you think that you're just going to become good at trading and sit in front of your PC and then do nothing and see no one all day long, you're very, very deluded, because we've got something in our being that wants to go out and help people and serve people and talk to people. It's just not realistic. So although you might be, let's just say, for instance, you're in an industry that you hate, or you're in a job that you hate, there's going to be parts of the job that you might like. And what it does, it allows you to just free up some time to just focus on good bits. And then when you focus on the good bits, you accelerate, obviously. As I said, with me, I want to solve meaningful problems. So if I can now develop a system that helps the NHS via smart technology, I'll just focus on that instead of all the other crap in the industry that I didn't like.
Yeah. That's kind of where I am with work at the moment. I've just set up a graduate training scheme where the local university, they've got a degree on, I think it's health service policy or something like that. So I just approached them and said, we've got some projects that I think would be really good for sort of undergraduates just to come in, give them some work experience, develop their skills. And I'm a big fan of developing people. I mean, that's the other thing I think that what drew me to Tier 1, drew me towards you and Akil, is I also have a passion. That probably why me and my wife are the NHS. I've got a passion for helping people, but not just helping people, but helping them grow.
Yeah.
And in more ways than one. So not just growing in terms of a project management skill or whatever it might be, but just in general. So helping them become more motivated, helping them become more creative, and all of those types of things. So
amazing.
I think that's what, like I say, what drew me to you guys. And you never know what the future holds. I'd love to do some work with you guys in the future around sort of coaching, that type of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really, really good. Okay, so you've told us all about what you're up to, where you are in your journey. You've told us that you've got probably 6 months where you want to go and trial something, trading it slightly different ways, and you're going to start funding an account next year, which would probably be around March time, April time, if you're doing 6 months. And you've also told us that you want to start generating a supplementary income. You're very happy in your job, obviously. So, and you've told us your long-term goals. So is there any feedback from you or any questions from you on how we can help you more, or how the community can help you more, or any feedback you've got on the platform overall?
So not so much feedback in terms of how anybody else can help me. Me and Gabrielle already had a few conversations, because she's working on a sort of 4-hour New Zealand strategy. I'm working on a 4-hour Aussie strategy, and so we've had a bit of a conversation, and everyone's been really helpful. I think platform fantastic. There was only 2 things. I think when I was doing my back testing, I didn't mark up any of my charts to begin with, and I remember I was watching one of your earlier YouTube videos from a couple of years ago, and one of the sort of hints and tips on you said around your back testing was
Note
keeping
down
your
everything.
charts all marked up so you could go back over
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really good to have in the backtesting module for people who
Okay.
are backtesting.
Yeah.
Because if they, you've got that markup still there, you can go back and see why what didn't work. Luckily, I caught that video halfway through my testing, so I managed to go back and do some of that. So I guess that's one comment.
Yeah.
The other one was around the backtesting spreadsheet, because I wasn't quite sure around on the take profit 1 and take profit 2 whether if you had a take profit 1 in that spreadsheet, did it mean that you took something off? Did you take any lot size off your take profit 1? And also on your take profit 2, did you run all the way through? So I think just for, I don't know, whoever developed the spreadsheet for you, it'd be an interesting yes or no button somewhere to say whether if you hit take profit 1, you take how much of your lot size would you take off? 10%, 20%, 50%, something like that, which I kind of did on a separate Excel page for myself. I think that would be useful for especially people who are starting out, to help them develop their strategy.
Really good feedback.
Yeah, apart from that, no, I don't really have any massive feedback apart from, I guess the only thing I can say is thank you to both to everyone that's been involved in the platform, and yourself and Akil, for putting yourselves out there and helping people develop.
That's really good. That's really good, mate. So one thing I always do before we head off, is there anything that you would recommend to new traders coming in? If there's anyone new joining the platform, is there any advice that you would give just based on experiences or any learning curves you've had over your time trading?
I'd say ignore signals. They don't work. And it'll just confuse you, because some people will go away, maybe have joined, this might be their first ever looking at trading, and when I first started looking at trading, there were like finding out about signals firms and things like that. Stay away from them. I'd say when you go through the course, although I didn't look at, when Akil said go away and try and find these patterns, I didn't do that, because the more you do that, and when you do come to your testing, and you can understand price before you start going in pattern trading and all this sort of stuff, if you can understand price and understand psychology when you first start looking at a chart, it will help you so much. And that's where I really fell down when I first started looking at trading, because I just, that kind of looks like the bottom of the market, so it's bound to turn around there. Oh, bash, I've just completely blew my account. So those are the things that I think is really try and immerse yourself in the charts and understand how it tells a story, rather than just sitting there and like a robot, I guess. That's I guess the only advice I can give.
Excellent. Well, that's some good advice. Really, really good advice. Okay, well, thanks for coming on, Matt. I want to, it's been an absolute pleasure. And if there's anyone who's got any questions for Matt, then you can leave them below this video. I'm sure Matt will check up and answer any questions that you've got. And
definitely.
Yeah, just thanks for coming on, Matt. And I look forward to speaking to you in a few months' time back on here to see how you're going.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd love to come on maybe like you said, sort of next March time, after I've done some testing, sort of live paper testing, and then I can let you know how well or how badly I've done.
No, excellent.
And whether I move on to the next shiny object.
All right. Well, have a good one, Matt, and I'll catch you later.
So I hope you guys enjoyed, and remember, these accountability sessions just aren't for our premium members. They're for trial members as well. And trial members, remember, that's that whole 14 days in the platform, get all this cool stuff for free, no contracts, right? You get to either sit in and listen to them, which I highly advise, or at least watch the recording. They're very, very, very beneficial to hear the stories from people that are coming from the same places that you are and what they're doing to become successful, right? Success leaves clues, right? One of the easiest ways to gain success is to find someone else that has been successful and simply follow them. It seems too simple to be true, but trust me, that is the quickest way. So it's really beneficial to either peep your head in there and listen, or if you feel gutsy, even join for one of your own. I know it's hard putting yourself out there in front of everyone, but we do have a very respectful community. You're not going to make fun of you. Many of them have much more embarrassing stories than you do, and it's a great learning experience and a chance to find out where you're at as a trader and what you need to do to take it to the next level. And again, that's available for both premium and trial members, so check it out. So looking forward to a good week in the market. Looking forward to our Q&A session tomorrow. A lot of questions, maximum favorable excursion, maximum adverse excursion, adding filters. It's going to be a jam-packed session. And as always, thank you for enjoying the podcast. Before you leave, please take a second to share this on social media. And if you feel up to it, please leave me a review, especially on iTunes or Apple Podcasts.